Hello gamers from around the world, this is Boxenberger, the video game enthusiast from Germany, and I would like to welcome you to today's episode of The World of Gaming, the #1 podcast where we discuss everything Dutch that the world of gaming has to offer. We talk about news, games, technology, and today we have not super many news, but some exciting news, and that's the most important part, right? But first, I would like to welcome our awesome community. I see a lot of familiar names already in the chat. A big welcome to you. A big shout out to Pyro Mad, who became a channel member just before the show. Appreciate the support. And of course, a big welcome to everyone who listens after the fact, either here on YouTube or on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening. Welcome, guys. Hope you're doing well. And Dutch, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Obviously, had a nice hike on the weekend. Just gone.
Nice.
Boiling hot. I got myself sunburnt, which was great.
Yeah, we can see that with the red arms.
Yeah, very red arms. You can only really see it when the sleeve comes up and you can see the white above it.
Oh yeah.
But no. Other than that, just work this weekend. The little bit of opportunity I've had to either go to the gym and then chill after work, and then when I have had a couple of hours, then play South of Midnight. So yeah, that's I'm good. How about you?
Thank you. I'm doing good. I do have one more day of work ahead of me, and then I have a week off, and I'm going on a short trip, 6 days with the family to a farm in the south of Germany. So I'm very much looking forward to that, man.
Nice.
Yeah. And that's the reason, by the way, why we will not have a podcast next week, but we will be back, of course, in 2 weeks. But let's not talk about future shows. Let's talk about today's show. We have a bunch of interesting stuff. I mean, last week we had the big Switch 2 reveal, and we had a podcast the day after the reveal, and in the meantime, we learned a couple of interesting things, some controversial things. We'll discuss those. Xbox just announced their big summer showcase and their developer directly after. We have some rumors on Titanfall. We have some leaked footage of Marathon and a bunch of other interesting things to talk about. But first, Dutch, we need to talk about the most important thing in gaming, and that are, of course, the games we are playing. So everyone in the chat, let us know, what are you currently playing? What is keeping you busy? If you do listen after the fact, let us know in the comments down below. Also on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. We'd love to hear what you guys are playing. And Dutch, what kept you busy?
Yeah. Like I mentioned before, the only game I've had a chance to play this week has been South of Midnight. Every opportunity I've had, I've jumped on that and played that. So yeah, it's been I've thoroughly enjoyed it. To be fair, it's got a great story, great soundtrack. The gameplay is not overly complicated. It's very easy in terms of the gameplay. It's not complex in any way, shape, or form.
No, it's not.
But no, it's very enjoyable though, and like I say, the soundtrack and everything else that goes with it, the story, the characters, the art style for the game. It's a very beautiful game to look at, but thoroughly enjoying it. And I like how it's kind of a new story every level. You've got like a different character you learn about, and then what happened to them, and then you heal them, and of course, on the next level, it's exactly the same thing. You've got another folklore story about another kind of beastie or nightmare thing that comes along, whether it be Two-Toed Tom or whether it be the Rougarou or Hug and Molly or you name it. There's a number of kind of beasties in there that all have backstories you've got to learn about and how they came about. So that's an interesting kind of way around it. And yeah, it's just fantastic.
Sweet.
But yeah, that's what I've been playing. That's what I've been playing, and I'm up to chapter 8 so far.
Okay.
So I'm just I think that's probably just over halfway now, or just at the halfway point of the game. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. The only thing I've missed, I'm gonna probably play through a couple of the level select things afterwards because I've missed the achievements for not taking damage on the boss fights. So it's only because you have to learn kind of the attack patterns initially.
You should just free yourself from this pain of trying to get achievements.
But when it's the only things that are left over at the end of the game, which they will be, the only things that will be left over is not taking damage on the boss fights, and it's only because you don't understand their attack patterns initially, so you kind of get caught out on the sly when they do like an attack you're not expecting. But as soon as you learn, because the attack doesn't change after the first period for each boss. So as soon as you've learned the first opening section, that's it. You've just learned the entire thing, so you don't have to worry.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, I mean, like I say, it's a fantastic game. Great art style, great music. Like I say, gameplay is not too in depth. I think if anybody's coming into this thinking they're going to get some kind of deep RPG or really in depth combat system, I think it's maybe mildly disappointing on that section, just that section. But the rest of it's fantastic.
Yeah.
But again, not every game needs to be over the top of that stuff. And I think for what they've done compared to the last game that Compulsion did, I think this is head and shoulders better. I think this is significantly better than We Happy Few.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, most definitely. I've also started that game, and I agree. It's definitely Compulsion's best game yet. And I agree completely with everything you have been saying. It's a gorgeous art style. I love it. It's very unique. We don't see that kind of art style too often in games. So I really do appreciate that. I tried both the game with the stop motion and without. I do not like the stop motion, but
I turned it off straight away. Yeah, I turned it off straight away.
Straight away off, and then it's fantastic. Looks beautiful, runs fluent, butter smooth. I really do enjoy the story, and I super enjoy the music. I love it. We don't have, that many games where you have like songs with vocals in games. Except maybe sometimes, a little choir who does the in the background. But
and it's like not even just songs with vocals. Like in this game, it's songs with vocals that are about the area that you're in and the person that you're trying to find.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was just going against the Rougarou, and the entire level, it's about the Rougarou, and you hear like whispers in the background and things like that, and then you get into the next section, it tells you a little bit more about the story of the Rougarou if you listen carefully to the lyrics. And then at the end, of course, you've got the proper, when you're just about to get to that boss fight, you get the proper Rougarou song. And then you get even more.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fantastic. I wish, like you say, I wish there would be more kind of games like that where it's fluid soundtrack that goes with the game as the game progresses.
Yeah, absolutely. And they do that in a fantastic way. I also really do enjoy the story. Didn't expect that, honestly.
Yeah.
But I'm really enjoying the writing and the story where I'm not that far. I'm only like in chapter 6 so far. But so far, I'm really enjoying my time. Like you said, gameplay, especially the combat, can be a little bit repetitive. But other than that, it is a great experience, and I'm really enjoying it. I will be continuing that on my Asus ROG Ally. I've already installed that. I'm going to take that with me when we're going on our short trip next week. So looking forward to that, to finishing that game. Let's see, what has the community been playing? Sith Lord has been playing South of Midnight and Split Fiction. Great playlist there. Great playlist. Pyro.
Agent X. Oh, I was going to say Agent X-Force in my chat has been playing AC Shadows and Brotato still.
Sweet. AC Shadows. I've been playing that as well. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Let me just briefly close the poll. And today's gameplay is unsurprisingly South of Midnight. So I'm going to put that on. So Pyro has also been playing South of Midnight and Slay the Spire and Vampire Survivors. Sweet. Stormplayer has also been playing South of Midnight and Titanfall. Yeah, that's a game I have yet to play. Yeah. Siki has been playing Ghost of Tsushima on his PC. Very good game. A very good game. Also very unique art style. I like that when games try to do something different with their visuals. Just try to make a gorgeous game, not just a photorealistic game. And Ghost of Tsushima is definitely one of that. Dustin Lambert has been also playing South of Midnight. And he says it's very good so far. It really is. I am really enjoying my time with it. And again, I can't wait to play more. And I've also been playing a lot Assassin's Creed Shadows. I'm super hooked, Dutch. It is easily the best Assassin's Creed in a long time. And could very well end up being my favorite Assassin's Creed game to date. It really is good. A good story, really good open world. You know, I like that they still have like super much to do in that game, but somehow, you know, the open world doesn't feel that bloated. It just doesn't feel like you're trying to do all these fetch quests and shit. They somehow changed that, and it feels just very natural to explore the world and do the side stuff that is really interesting. I'm absolutely enjoying my time with Assassin's Creed Shadows. I haven't finished it yet because I really want to do all the side stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And I have now, I don't know, 60 hours or so in it. And so far, I have enjoyed every second. It's dropped that gorgeous. I really do enjoy switching back and forth in between Naoi and Yasuke. The two characters, they feel very, very, very different to play, you know, and really depending on the mission you're on, I'm just switching back and forth. You can do that at any point in time, and it's fantastic. Yeah, so those are basically the two games I have been playing, man. South of Midnight and, of course, Assassin's Creed Shadows. And there's plenty on the playlist. I haven't started Titanfall yet, which I really want to play.
Yeah, I've got that downloaded. I've waited for a patch on it because, as I mentioned last week on your show, it just kept crashing at the intro. So I just decided to wait until it had a couple of patches, and then I'll go into it and check it out. Because from what I've heard, the game is actually really good, but I didn't want it blighted by crashing experiences all the way through. That might ruin the experience for me, so I just thought I'd just leave it for a bit.
Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense. And then Expedition 33 is around the corner, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's my next big one. I am super excited for Expedition 33. That's like since Fable's not coming out this year, that's this is like one of my most anticipated.
Sweet.
But yeah, other than that, got another couple in the chat. Oh, at least one in the chat here that's got games he's been playing. But Fanto's ordered his Mario Kart Switch 2 bundle.
Sweet.
With an SD card, Pro Controller, Donkey Kong Bonanza, GameCube controller, and second AC adapter. He's also been playing AC Shadows and Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Nice.
So yes, indeed.
Nice.
There we go.
Good stuff. All right, Dutch. All right. Let us get into some news and let's talk about the Switch 2 again. We had an in-depth discussion about the console and the games during last week's podcast, but I wanted to talk to you this week about a couple of things that we learned right after, or in the days after the reveal. And one of the issues are now that pre-orders are live, but unfortunately not for our friends in the US, because...
Or Canada.
Or does it affect Canada as well?
They also affected Canada, so they didn't have to basically disrupt the neighbors where Canada gets them and America doesn't. Or people from Canada can order them for people in America.
Yeah,
and avoid the taxes.
That makes sense. Well, it doesn't make sense, but you know what I mean. And unfortunately, our friends from the US do have to wait a little longer until the pre-orders go out because Nintendo is investigating how to handle all the tariffs. So what are your thoughts on this, man?
Well, I'm going to be ordering a Switch 2, as I mentioned last week.
Yeah.
In terms of the tariff thing, I mean, you don't blame them. It's a Japanese company. They obviously aren't going to damage their profit-making ability because another country across the world decides to hide tariffs around like it's popcorn.
Yeah.
And let's face it, he's already backed down again yesterday, and a chance that within 90 days it'll be back on again and back off again. So we've just got no idea what's going to happen. I think as it stands, they might have slightly avoided it because he's taken off the additional tariffs on everybody at the minute, the blanket 10%, for 90 days. So it could be that the pre-orders just go live without these tariffs. But the problem Nintendo will have after that is if the tariffs then get put back on, then the prices will increase post pre-order. So anybody who hasn't already pre-ordered and hasn't already got their shipment through to the US, they'll be liable for additional costs.
Yeah,
it's shitty, but it's probably the least of everybody's worries, to be fair.
I mean,
so many
way more important things are impacted by this whole tariff strategy, right, than gaming, which is just as much as we love it, right, but it's a luxury issue. But nonetheless, we're not here to discuss the worldly economics and the impacts of that. But for a gamer, it sucks because, you know, we don't get new hardware too often, right? Every 6-8 years we get a new console, and once that console is available, you want to pre-order it. It's part of the excitement, part of the fun, and not being able to lock your pre-order down sucks. But on the other hand, they promise that they will still keep the launch date and not shift that and move that around in the United States. So people will have to be just a little bit longer, a bit more patient. And I do hope that it doesn't impact the prices too much for the US folks and our friends, the gamers in the US. But yeah, China is not getting a release at all of the Switch as of right now. Big market that Nintendo is skipping. We just learned that yesterday. Didn't surprise me too much because the original Switch also launched about a year later in China than the rest of the world. And especially with the Switch 2 now having way more online infrastructure, voice chat and so on, I think it's not surprising that the Chinese gamers will have to wait a little longer until they figure out how to navigate through the regulatories in China. We also talked about the €80 price point, or $80 price point on Nintendo games. What we didn't know last week is that so far it's only affected one game. It's just Mario Kart. And that brought up the discussion. I've seen it in the community, whether it's just this one game, whether it's going to be more. What do you think, man?
Yeah, they've said, judging by the articles anyway, from what's his name, Doug Bowser, which is convenient to have a name. They seem to always have names after Mario characters.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems to be what they say in a case-by-case basis, depending on how much they've spent on making the game, how big the game is, how much content the game is. So it depends, but I can see a lot of the first-party Nintendo ones being the full price, the big price.
Yeah, at least the big releases. Yeah, the big releases, the Pokemons, the Marios, the Zeldas. I would totally expect those games to all get that €80 price tag. So yeah, technically it will be a case-by-case decision. Donkey Kong, for instance, isn't at that price tag, but the big ones, the big releases that everyone's looking forward to, right, are going to carry that price tag. That's for sure. Pyromed sends in a channel member chat for being a member for 20 months. And he says Zenless Zone Zero is coming to Xbox around the 27th. I've not seen that news. But good. More games?
I have. There was a Zenless Zone Zero kind of event where they were giving like an update on the game and things like that, and they announced that it would be coming to Xbox. So the Hoyoverse continues on Xbox.
Yeah. Which is good, right? Which is good.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've got a question for you. With your Switch 2, obviously you've got The Witcher on Switch at the moment.
Yes, I do.
Will you be picking up Cyberpunk?
I'm not even sure if I'm going to straight up pick up a Switch 2.
Not immediately, but when you get one.
Yeah, eventually I will get one. But as of right now, see, I really do enjoy handheld gaming. But I get my Asus ROG Ally now. And we are getting the Xbox branded Ally a little later this year. Which apparently, by the way, Windows Central reported that today, that the Zen 2 chip, which is heavily rumored to be in that thing, is going to support an AI, an NPU, so hardware-based AI support, which only makes sense in these handheld devices, right? Saves battery life, improves performance and pixel counts, and and money is tight, man. So if I would buy the Switch 2 now, I would be spending $500, including Mario Kart. And let's face it, as much as I'm enjoying Mario Kart, I will play that game for, 20, 25 hours until I finished all the cups. And then my Switch 2 would collect dust until I don't know when. Yeah, because I got my Ellie for the handheld gaming needs, and I can play my games that I actually play right now. Right, I can take South of Midnight, for instance, now with me, or Assassin's Creed Shadow with me on the go, and that wouldn't be the case for the Switch. I would play the Switch for the exclusives, and the launch lineup doesn't do it for me. as good as Mario Kart is, but I'm not a big online player in Mario Kart, right? So I would be playing that a little bit, and then it would collect dust. I wouldn't be playing Cyberpunk. I can play Cyberpunk in a way better performing way and looking way on my Ellie, and have cross save and cross progression and everything. So no, I wouldn't be buying Cyberpunk, and I'm honestly at the moment not sure if I'm gonna get the Switch. Too. I will be getting eventually when we have a 3D Mario and then new Zelda and all that good stuff that I'm really excited for. I can play Metroid Prime. Metroid, I can still play that on my old Switch. Granted, it's not the best way to play it, but
4K60.
Not at 4K 60, right? But I can live with that. I can live with that to play one more game on my OG Switch and then just wait a year or two and rather spend the same money on the new Xbox handheld that is coming later this year. Yeah, so
I think I'll probably do. See, I'm heads or tails on the Xbox alley this year because, of course, I'm waiting to see what they do with the direct Xbox in 2026. So I'll probably end up waiting off on that one initially. I will be getting a Switch because I need a new Switch. I've kind of already explained this. Mine's on death's door. It's not really a handheld at the minute. It's more just a docked Switch because it's damaged internally and doesn't register the left Joy-Con. So, yeah, for me, it's either pick up the regular ROG Ally at the minute, and well, at least the new ROG Ally,
the LAX,
or wait for the ROG Ally X, or wait for the Xbox handheld in 26, 27, whenever that comes out, the official one. And see what they've got with that, their own unit. See what happens with that. So I'm when it comes to PC handhelds, I'm still very much up in the air. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I'm definitely going to get one, but which one I choose and how long I wait to pick one up is another thing.
Yeah, I can understand that. On the other hand, I'm really looking forward to see what they are doing with the new Windows gaming OS that Jason Ronald teased, right? And if that turns out to be good and we have a great new Ellie, Xbox branded Ellie with that new Windows gaming thing, whatever it is, and we have the Z2 chip in there with proper NPU. This sounds just too good, and I simply play the Ellie way more often than I do with my Switch. And at the moment, it feels hard to imagine to buy both, because again, on my end, the Switch would just collect dust, and the kids are not that much into Nintendo. I can't even say, okay, I could get it and then at least the kids would be happy. They play Minecraft and they play that on the Xbox or they play that on the tablet. And all the other stuff that kids are playing and their friends are playing at school is just not on the Switch. So it's not even exciting for them. And so for me, I'm gonna get one eventually, but maybe then next year when we get a proper 3D Mario or the new Zelda or something. But as of right now, it makes more sense to just sell my OG Asus ROG Ally and then invest the money into the new one that is going to come out later this year. So yeah, man.
I can understand that. And
you should be giving the new Ellie also a try then.
We'll see. We'll see what it's like. We'll see what it's like. If it's like just an Xbox version of the regular new Alley, then I might just pick up the regular Alley. It depends on what it's like and what difference it is compared to the new ROG Ally and the Xbox branded ROG Ally. You know what I mean? It's just a case of they've just added a couple of little buttons.
If only half of the rumors that are out there about the new Asus ROG Ally and its hardware capabilities are true, this is gonna be one hell of a handheld, man. The Asus ROG Ally X already comes with 24 gigs of RAM, so it's safe to assume, right, that the new Xbox LE is also going to have at least 24 gigs of RAM. The Zen Z2 Extreme, besides its the today's leak of it having an NPU, is apparently way more performant. First internal benchmarks show almost twice the performance, to get double the performance there. It's also way less power hungry. Yeah. Some GitHub leaks revealed that we can expect at least 40% in power reduction. So battery life should also increase, and with just hearing all that stuff, it's gonna be definitely worth it. But yeah, of course, I'm waiting for a full reveal. Maybe all these rumors will turn out to be untrue, and it isn't worth the upgrade, and then I might switch to the Nintendo Switch 2 instead and just keep my current LE. It's also an option. However, just looking at, for instance, how Assassin's Creed Shadows runs on the Asus ROG Ally, I want a little bit more juice, man. I want a little bit more juice there. But yeah. Let's see until that thing. When do you think we will see the Asus ROG Ally? The Xbox One.
We'll see I think you see the Xbox ROG Ally I think we'll see that one in June.
At the showcase. At the June showcase. Do you think let's use that as a segue into the June showcase, because the June showcase just got announced, right? And here we already have the first prediction.
Yeah. Out of the blue, to be fair, I forgot that it's usually this time of the year that they announce it. And
yeah.
So I was just at work and I just seen it, an email. I literally got an email from Xbox Fan Fest saying showcase. Yeah. I was like, oh, forgot about that.
And you think, I mean, I could see that being a thing, that they show the Xbox branded Asus LE somehow at the showcase. And with that, they will heavily advertise their new Windows thing, whatever it is, right?
Bingo.
I would love that.
That's what I think. I think it's because it's an Xbox brand. I think if it was just regular ROG Ally, they wouldn't. But if it has Xbox branding on it, or for instance, I guess some kind of things that you could imagine that Xbox branding would be, but like the 360 color buttons on the front of it or something like that.
Yeah.
The OG Xbox buttons on the front and their colors. Maybe the power button is on the top left,
Xbox
and the Xbox button. Just some little things, and you've got obviously start select. Maybe it's a screenshot button, something daft like that. But like little things that kind of revert to it being an Xbox handheld, and even color wise, if they did it in black with green accents.
Yeah, it could be. Although I do not expect the actual hardware, maybe the Xbox button in the middle, but the rest, if you just look at the Asus ROG Ally, they have the stick layout from the Xbox controller. They have the XYAB button layout RB, RT is the same, right? It's already like, it feels like an Xbox branded handheld already. I think the big thing about this LE thing is going to be Windows and the changes that they make.
Yeah.
The thing that Jason Ronald teased during CES in January this year, right? That they are working to make Windows PC gaming way more controller friendly and debloated, and maybe I could even see that Asus kind of hopefully gets rid of the Armory crate and the Xbox game bar and everything is in front of and center. We've also seen that on the leak. Well, I wouldn't call it a leak per se, but the advertisement picture a couple of days ago where they posted online like this is an Xbox, and they've shown a bunch of different devices, and you've seen like a Steam integration into the Xbox app. And I think that this is gonna be the reason why this is going to be on the Xbox stage during the showcase.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not long, man. So let's talk about the June showcase. It's June 8th.
3 days after the Nintendo Switch 2 launch.
Yes. It's
which coincides with a particular Final Fantasy game potentially showing up.
Oh, you think so? We're finally seeing the remake?
Yes,
on Xbox.
Then they'll be able to give the release date for both platforms.
Yes, that could very well be. That would actually make sense, right? I agree. I fully expect that to be there. It's not live. Last year they had this theater showing and a fan fest on site. That's not going to happen this year. Do you think this is going to take away some of the excitement around the June showcase?
No, I don't think it will at all. It will for the influencers that get the privilege of going to LA and watching it in person. But those are a select few influencers that go to LA and watch that in person. It is thousands of pounds to go and sit in a theater and watch that. I completely understand currently in the world economic status as to why they don't have, as it stands right now, an in-person event. I don't think financially it makes much sense. Especially considering it isn't a live showcase. It is literally a theater watching a pre-recorded live stream.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's a live showcase like it was once in the past. And it's not the end of the world either, because of course they're doing another fan fest to celebrate 10 years of Xbox Fan Fest. So those influencers won't be able to see it. Would it have made me go over to watch it in person? No.
Yeah.
Not if I'm just sitting in a theater watching a live stream like everybody else.
Flying in from Europe, the flight alone would like blow up every budget that you have. But yeah, of course, I understand some of the disappointment I've seen. FanFest, there are tons of influencers, but also hardcore Xbox fans that live in the US. For them, the traveling isn't as expensive as it would be for us. And of course, sitting in a theater, meeting all kinds of other fans, and it's just a different feeling. So I do understand that, but in the bigger picture, like the influencers will still cover it on their channels, as will we, of course. So I don't think that this is going to take away too much of the excitement around June showcase season, which is just Christmas gamer, the gamers Christmas.
I put a tiny opinion piece on Twitter the other day, actually, about South of Midnight, and I said, obviously, I've been hiking, so I haven't had much chance to play it, but I'm enjoying what I've played so far, blah, blah, blah. And I had a comment underneath saying, I'm waiting for... from comments from when non-influencers play it. I was like, I'm an influencer.
Yeah.
Definitely not an influencer.
I had similar posts, but it always happens, right? I post, hey, I'm enjoying Assassin's Creed Shadows way more than I expected, having a blast. And then someone posts underneath, yeah, this is what a paid tweet looks like, or something like that. Yeah. It always happens. It happened with South of Midnight. It happens all the time. I just ignore that.
We must be waiting for so many checks coming through, Boxy.
Yeah, man. Somehow our checks seem to get lost in mail.
In the mail.
Yeah.
Lots of them. Thousands of them.
Man, damn it. Yeah, but the June showcase is followed directly with a developer direct like we had the last 2 years. And this time, I can admit that I was wrong, because we talked about this a few weeks ago when they delayed Fable. You said, yeah, well, now Outer Worlds 2 is going to take the spot of the developer direct. And I said, no way, it's not big enough. But hey, I was wrong. They put Outer Worlds 2 as the developer direct. We had that 2 years ago for the first time with Starfield, right? We had it last year with Black Ops 6, and then this year we have Outer Worlds 2. So what are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, so of course they did they also released an 11-minute gameplay footage of it. But they've also, that's Outer Worlds 2, by the way, they've also mentioned that the RPG mechanics in the game are going to be far more in-depth, and it kind of takes some of its cues from the likes of Deus Ex when it comes to the RPG mechanics in there, and also new stealth mechanics in the game as well, so it actually feels a bit more stealthy when you're playing that kind of role. So it looks like they've actually expanded upon the gameplay in the game as well to make it a little bit more in depth from the RPG side, which is good. But no, naturally, I'm really looking forward to seeing what they've got to show off. There's still so many things that we don't really know of, and there's still so many things that we haven't had kind of much detail on. We're going to see more clockwork. We're going to see some contraband, which has just popped up again today. Yeah, they're still alive and kicking.
I mean, let me briefly touch on the Outer Worlds 2 thing before we move into what we can expect to see there. Because I was honestly really surprised that they chose Outer Worlds 2. Not that I do not love Obsidian RPGs. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely enjoyed Avowed. I loved Outer Worlds 1. But following two really major AAA releases, I mean, you cannot get any bigger than Call of Duty, right? And Starfield, the big Bethesda RPG, the first new IP from Bethesda in 25 years. Outer Worlds 2, I'm not even sure how to phrase it without reducing my excitement level for it, but it is not like this major AAA release, right? So I was honestly surprised, but then of course, in terms of bigger releases, they could do Call of Duty again, but that wouldn't make sense. So I do appreciate that they are not doing Call of Duty again. And I do really look forward to Outer Worlds 2. And so I'm totally fine with it. I'm just saying I was a little surprised and I did not expect it. And they also released like 11 minutes of gameplay this week for Outer Worlds 2. And if you look, I don't know if you've seen it, Dutch, but it does look really, really good. Like they've improved on a couple of things from the first one. The guns feel or look way more like impactful. The combat, the shooting mechanics look way more matured in this one, and so I'm really looking forward to see more of Outer Worlds 2, and of course we're gonna get a release date for that as well during that developer direct. So yeah, but that you already started, and I cut you off there with what to expect during this year's June showcase. I mean, it's early speculation, and we're probably going to do a proper prediction show, as we always do, and invite a couple of guests. But let's talk about it. What do you expect to be there this year?
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, I think you'll see the next Call of Duty.
Of course, yeah. Of course. Would be surprised if that's not in the show. I mean, we know Call of Duty is coming this year, as it always does. And since it's Xbox IP now, obviously it's going to be there. Yeah.
You might also learn more about the next Forza Horizon. That's still cooking in the background, despite Fable being there. They're two separate teams, so you probably see that. Maybe it's a little bit of
You think we see Forza Horizon this year?
Yeah.
Is it then going to come out this year?
Possibly.
Interesting. Even with Fable on the horizon.
Yeah. Fable's next year now, though, isn't it? So
yeah, but it's probably going to be early next year.
Yeah, but even if you say in August, September release for Forza, that's at least 6 months between releases.
I mean, if we see it this year, it's probably going to come out this year. Obviously, they don't need to.
Yeah, they usually don't do anything. They usually show it and then it comes out.
It's
like a couple of months later. They don't ever do it where it's a year later.
So
if you see it, it's likely out this August, September. Then you've also got, like I mentioned, Contraband that we haven't seen for a bit. You haven't seen Clockwork. I was going to say Clockwork Orange, Clockwork Revolution.
I expect that to be there as well, because we've seen it 2 years ago and it already looked in a very advanced stage at that time, right? And it's been 2 years now. So I fully expect to see Clockwork again.
More Perfect Dark. I think we'll see what additions they've added to that and see some actual more in-depth gameplay about Perfect Dark, and maybe get the release window. I think release a window for next year.
Sounds realistic. They haven't shown it off too often, right? We only have seen it once.
One gameplay thing,
and I also expect Perfect Dark to be a 26 game, so it would make sense to show that again.
And to be fair, beyond that, who knows? There's so much.
Do you think we will see the zombie game?
State of Decay.
State of Decay 3,
Yes. Yeah, we'll see actual gameplay for that.
I agree.
We'll see full-fledged gameplay for that. I mean, they did use gameplay segments in there and people didn't realize it. It was very small bursts of it, but it was kind of showing you what the gameplay looked like and how kind of refined it is compared to the previous one. But I think people will be pleasantly surprised by that when they see it. But yeah, definitely, I think we'll definitely see State of Decay this year as well.
But
I'm just thinking of all the new things they could show and what else they could have been working on, and it's hard to fathom what they might have additionally been working on. It really
is. Sin in the chat says, will we see Contraband?
I think possibly an update on it, Yeah,
I mean, we got this one little teaser like 3 years ago, and it's kind of weird because when they showed that in 2022, they said, yeah, we've been working for more than 4 years with Avalanche on that game. And now we are here in 25, which makes 7 years already. The only thing with Contraband is it's supposed to be a heist game, right? And we have GTA coming this year. And the question is, will it be able, or how will it show compared to GTA? Because we also expect, right, to GTA show up at some showcase. Could be the Xbox, but I doubt it because I don't think they have the marketing.
I don't think GTA shows up at any showcase.
Or they just drop it somewhere. But around that time, June, July, we will see a new trailer. We will get a release date. And then the question is Contraband holding up against that? And so I'm not sure if they really gonna show it.
I think they'll show it, but I don't think you'll get a release date for it. I think if it's going to come out anytime, it could be 26. As a smaller game, I think Contraband's more like a AA.
Yeah, probably.
And it's like one of the middle ones. It's not one of the big guys like your Fables or your Perfect Darks. So I think they'll kind of have Contraband in the same band that they would probably class as Avowed, or Outer Worlds, or South of Midnight.
Yeah. I do agree there. You mentioned Fable. Do you think that's going to show up? Because Fable has been shown off a couple of times now, right? It has been first revealed with the CGI trailer. Then we had 2 years in a row where we saw in-game footage, not really continued gameplay, but in-game footage at least. We've seen some footage during the Xbox podcast a couple of weeks ago when they announced the delay. So do you expect that to be there again?
No. I think the next time you'll see it be at Developer Direct in January.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree, because if they show it again, they will have to show like really continued gameplay of that game. And they would need to kind of explain a little bit about lore, about the gameplay mechanics, about this and that. And I don't see that during the show.
Also, with them having already announced the delay of it as well, I think if they did that now, when they showed extended gameplay now, I think it kind of detracts from kind of when you need to push it next year.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think a lot of people are going, this is nice seeing the gameplay now, but we know it's delayed until the beginning of next year. And since we don't know a release, we're going to kind of just forget about this.
Yeah, I'm fully with you. It's going to be at the Developer Direct in January again, but until then, I do not expect to see much of that game. So you asked the difficult question. I mean, it's always easy to like, okay, is this game, all the games that we already seen somehow? We could also talk about Gears. Is Gears E-Day going to be there? Possibly, could be. And then announce it.
I think Gears E-Day will get its release window. That could be
for 26 then.
Yeah, I think that'll be a 26. I think Fable and Gears E-Day will be the big ones for next year.
And Perfect Dark. I think they're going for a hat trick next year with big releases in Perfect Dark.
Big releases and two smaller AAAs that kind of box it.
Yeah, kind of like Clockwork. Could be then a next year game, or the Psychonauts Double Fine game.
Double Fine's game, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's another good one. We might see that.
We might see that. I also wonder what the Elder Scrolls Online guys, ZeniMax Online, are doing.
They're literally having a direct right now.
Yeah, but it's all about Elder Scrolls Online, right? And just before the show, by the way, I got a message that the rumor is floating around about the Oblivion remake being there right now, somehow announced.
It won't be because ZeniMax Online have got nothing to do with Bethesda's Oblivion.
Yeah. I also do not believe the rumors about the Oblivion. Yeah, well, it's Bethesda. ZeniMax did belong to Bethesda, so that it's not.
They're still classed as a separate company as ZeniMax Online.
Could be. Yeah, well, yeah, especially now in the Xbox organization. Yeah. However, I don't think that's the unrealistic part. Listen, I do not expect the Oblivion remake to just willy-nilly drop now in such a developer, such a Elder Scrolls Online stream. It's not gonna happen. It also wouldn't make sense to just shadow drop that thing now in April, which the rumors suggest. They do have too many games out there already, right? About just came out. Not a day goes by where I still see people playing that. Titanfall just dropped. We had South of Midnight just released this Tuesday, right? Then Expedition 33 is around the corner, and 2 weeks later we will get Doom, and another 2 or 3 weeks later we will get Tony Hawk. They really don't have the necessity to squeeze that in now. Even if it's ready, they could just hold it off and release it somewhere this fall, right? For this fall, we have Outer Worlds 2 and Call of Duty, but that's and that's for the entire second half of this year. It wouldn't make sense to just drop it in now. They can also give that game a lot more room to breathe when if they would release that in August, September, October, November, or even December, right? So I don't think that these rumors are true with the Oblivion thing. But yeah, ZeniMax Online, man, they have been working for 10 years now on a new IP. Since 2015, they have been working on a new IP, and we haven't seen anything, nothing. So I could definitely see that game being there. What else would you...
Yeah, it's a possibility. Like I say, there's so many studios, or even we never know. People like Obsidian are making like 2-3 games at a time. So it's not. There could very well be a case of some studios have got second projects and third projects we just don't know about.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to predict. Like there's so many things that we've already spoken about, the ones we know of, and even the projects we know of. But there's so many opportunities for new titles from some of the continued studios. I think Pyro in your chat mentioned Toys for Bob's project with Xbox. Is it too early yet? Or have they been working on that for a little while?
They could do a little tease of whatever it is that Toys for Bob are working on. A Spyro tease, just a CGI thing or something. Could see that. It would make also like the hiring process and everything for Toys for Bob way more easy if they just announce what they are working on. I could see that happening. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, it's really hard to predict this year. I think there's going to be some surprises in there that nobody knows about, nobody expects. I think there's going to be a little bit of third-party stuff in there, like I mentioned with Final Fantasy, getting its announcement.
Listen, if we do not get the announcement this year, it'll never happen.
I agree.
With the game coming now to the Switch too, if they do not announce it for the Xbox, then I don't think it's ever going to happen.
Yeah, I agree. It'd be unfortunate, but I agree. There's no reason it can't be announced now.
True. Do you expect some third-party games like Borderlands to be there?
Nah. I think the only reason Final Fantasy would be is because of they're trying to win back that relationship fully with Square, and Square have got this new partnership with them, things like that. And I think eventually announcing Final Fantasy, which fans have been asking for forever on the stage, would be kind of a predominant thing for them to do. I think any other game, I don't think carries as much weight when you've got so many studios under your own belt these days.
That is very true. What about Project Mara? They have teased that, I want to say 5 years ago? Was that 2020? Maybe it was 21? 4 or 5 years ago?
Good show.
Yeah. I could see that being there. I mean, Hellblade 2 has been out then for a year now.
Feels so much longer than that.
Right.
Feels like that game came out years ago.
Yeah, but it was only about a year ago. So, when was that? May last year, right? Yeah. But yeah, so I could see that happening. The Black Panther game from EA.
Nah, Blade, on the other hand.
Ooh, Blade. I forgot about that. You think they could be... I mean, it's been 2 years.
And it was already been in production. It was just a teaser that they showed us. So
yeah.
Maybe
Blade could very well be. Yeah, that is true. But to be fair, I do not expect like too many games to be at the showcase that are years and years out. And simply for the reason...
I think it's like I think they've got the ability to at the minute because they've already got a bunch of games that we know of and expect it to be sooner rather than later. So I think they've got a little bit more flexibility on showing future pipeline and showing games that are 2 years out now because they've got so many games that are clearly closer. Clearly much closer. That we're not going to be kind of disappointed that this game, like Blade, for instance, is a 27 game, or Gears is a 26 game, or I don't think future things will be a disappointment for people when they know, okay, we've got Perfect Dark, we've got Fable, we've got Gears, we've got we've got State of Decay, we've got this, we've got that, we've like so many things to look forward to already, like 7, 8 AAA games
coming in the next. Yeah. My thought process was a little different, although coming to the same conclusion, because they have been doing that for a couple of years now, that they always had these games where you knew, okay, this game is at least 3 years out. Yeah. And they kind of had to do that because in the first 3 years where they really didn't have any games this gen, right, that they had the necessity of revealing those games early to like lay out the roadmap and tell people why to invest into the ecosystem, right? Now they are in a very different position. They got a great game coming at least once a month, right? Whether it's the second party deals like Expedition 33, or whether it's first party with Avowed, South of Midnight, and Doom, and Outer Worlds this year, and then you have next year you have your Gears and your Fable and your Perfect Dark, and then also the rumor is that Xbox has a new console coming in 26, maybe it's 27, who knows, but somewhere in that ballpark, either next year or the year after, they will also have new hardware. So would it make sense for them to reveal a game that is supposed to come out in 27 or 28, and you do not show off the game on the target hardware, which would be next gen, So I could see this year being more about the games that come out this year, next year. And then next year, they reveal the new hardware. They show some new games off that are then a couple of years out, maybe. But, to show off the tech and everything from the new gen. I could definitely see that happening. Yeah?
So it's a difficult one for me because obviously I fully believe every game that's currently in production or in development is going to be cross-gen.
Absolutely. That's totally the case. But showing off the next Halo, for instance.
I don't think, we'll not see that anytime soon anyway. I think that'll be a next year showcase, if not year after.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
They show off these kind of games when they have new hardware.
Yeah.
And they will focus more on the games that are supposed to come out this year or next year. They will still have as the main target the current gen hardware. So, yeah, man, we shall see. We shall see. It's not too far off. I mean, the 2 months will go by really quickly, and we shall see what we will be able to play and see then. Definitely an exciting thing, and you can rest assured we will be covering it here, of course, on this channel, as we always do. Anything you want to add, Dutch, to the summer Xbox showcase before we move on?
No. I think we're good.
Sweet. So, in other news this week, a rumor came up that Titanfall 3 is just around the corner. Apparently, it's going to run in Unreal Engine 5. It'll have a single-player campaign, and it'll have live service elements that are based on a battle pass system. And it's really far in production. That were the leaks. Then some other leakers debunked it. Likes of Jeff Grubb said, no, that's nonsense. But it kept the community in an interesting discussion. So where are you at with this Titanfall 3 thing?
Yeah, it wasn't all that long ago when they said Titanfall 3 was canned, and it wasn't happening. So I don't think Titanfall 3 personally. I don't think Titanfall 3 exists.
Yeah, it's also hard for me to see that this is a game that is happening. EA had so many, cost-cutting measures, and they learned their lesson with the first two Titanfalls. And don't get me wrong, especially Titanfall's 2 campaign was amazing, was fantastic. But they never had the success with that franchise that they were hoping for. And there's also the new Battlefield out there, right? That is already in alpha. People are playing that game, right? And I could see that game actually come out this year. And so I highly doubt that they will squeeze in this Titanfall 3, because the leaker suggested that it's super far along in the development and the release is more or less imminent. Yeah. And I don't see that happening. The next shooter service game from EA is going to be obviously Battlefield, and they will not. I'm not saying that they will never do a Titanfall 3. I could see that happening at some point for some reason, but I do not believe these rumors, and I'm fully there with Jeff Grubb to say that's not going to happen, and that without sources. So, yeah. Pyro in the chat says, I don't believe the rumor at all. As Dutch just said, it was only last year the studio said there's no plans for a new Titanfall game outside of Apex. Yeah. I agree. So yeah, Dutch. Another shooter that made some headlines is Marathon this week from Bungie. Right? It's been a long time since Bungie released something new, right? Destiny 2 has gotten like, I don't know how many, 10 or whatnot expansions, but it's been a long time since Bungie actually released something new. So people were looking forward to see Marathon, and there was actually a lot of gameplay leaked. They said they will also show it off this week, but officially we haven't seen something, but a lot of gameplay leaked. It's going to be an extraction-based shooter thing. It has a very colorful art style, like super neon punk looking art style. So what were your thoughts after seeing all these leaked gameplay snippets and things on Marathon? Where's your hype level?
About 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
Really low. An extraction-based shooter for me. Nah, it's quite low on the excitement level. It's just not my kind of game. Extraction-based shooter. Nah. I mean, hopefully Bungie reclaims some of the fans that they are kind of losing on Destiny, and of course they'll release a game that feels really good to play, because Bungie know how to make a game that feels good to play.
That indeed they do. Yeah.
The problem I've got is just simply that when it comes to shooters, as much as I like the multiplayer segment, I want a good PvP, not just extraction based, but also I like a campaign to go with my shooters.
I agree.
So I'd much rather Marathon had some form of campaign, even if it was a shorter campaign. But I very much doubt we're going to get that. So
yeah, I'm very much on the same side there with you. I'm already very cautious with online shooters anyway, because I'm not afraid to admit it, I'm just not good enough, and it takes me way too much time to practice, and I want to rather spend that time in all these other amazing games that are out there. So I rarely play PvP or online shooters anyway these days, right? Of course, you could say the same for Age of Empires or so. It took me hundreds of hours to practice, but it's for me personally, it's something else. And I also feel like there are way too many extraction-based shooters already out there. I'm not saying it's dead on arrival, because Bungie carries a big name still, but I don't see right now the market for such a game. It's yes, even though it's Bungie, but let's face it, Bungie hasn't been the Bungie that we loved for a long time, right? Obviously they had their peak with Halo, and don't get me wrong, I really did enjoy Destiny. Especially Destiny 1, I played that a lot. I thought it was great, and I also enjoyed Destiny 2 at the beginning, but then it just fell off, and everything felt very repetitive. They took out a lot of the content for some reason, and I just dropped out of the Destiny excitement, and it's just not the same anymore. And Bungie isn't the same anymore. If you look at the last couple of expansions that Destiny 2 got, I don't know, it didn't feel like there was this Bungie flair in there, right? Anymore. So now they are going full extraction shooter, in a market that is so saturated with these kind of games, right? And tell me one new extraction shooter that came out in the last 4 or 5 years that was a success. Because this market is so saturated. It's really hard to find an audience for such a game. From the little gameplay we've seen, it looks fast-paced. It's a very different art style than what we have seen so far from Bungie. All good, but yeah, it's kind of hard for me to. I don't know how you guys in the chat see it, but it's hard to believe that this is going to be a success for Bungie. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in the same mind, to be fair. It's hard for me to say how this is really going to be a massive success for Bungie. Yeah. I just these online multiplayer shooters, there's so many of them these days, like so many.
Yeah.
And people have got their favorites that they want to stick by and want to play, and they rarely do they, once they've played a game and they've got used to a game, rarely do they ever switch to it. They always end up reverting back to the one that they want to play.
Exactly, and the good ones out there.
The only saving grace Marathon has over the previous game that a Sony shooter launched was the fact that it isn't exclusive to one platform, and it's coming out on PC and Xbox and PlayStation all at the same time.
Yeah.
So there is a saving grace there, but how many people will honestly buy a solely multiplayer shooter in a market full of free-to-play multiplayer shooters?
Who says that it's not free to play as well?
I don't think it will be.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think it will be.
I don't think that Sony is going to try something like that. They don't have the guts for it. So yeah, let's see and wait for more on Marathon. But yeah, Pyro in the chat says about Marathon, the only thing that piqued my interest is that pink RoboCat. I want one in real life. Yeah, like I said, very colorful neon art style. But yeah, let's see more of it. When do you expect that game to come out?
Well, it was meant to come out this year.
Yeah.
They're having, obviously, the gameplay, a live stream on Saturday.
Yeah.
So I would imagine not long following that, they'll have an announcement on a open beta or something like that for people to play, to test it out and get numbers. And following that, then they'll have a release date. It could still be this year. It could be the beginning of next year. But if they want to get it out this year, they need to do all they can to avoid anything towards the tail end of the year.
I agree. Yeah, so let's see. Let's see on Marathon. But Dutch, let us already move over to the community questions of this week. Like every Wednesday, our awesome community can write in and ask us questions. We usually put up posts on Wednesday on Twitter, or X, on Blue Sky, on YouTube. And people can write in questions or topics that we'd like to discuss. We're not hiding it behind a paywall, Patreon or something. So everyone can write in. And the first question of this week comes in from Clued. And he says, what game do you want to see show up at the Xbox E3 showcase from first party? He wants a Killer Instinct 2. So Dutch, which game? We talked a lot about games that could be there earlier. However, which is the one first party game that you really, really hope that shows up?
I'm really interested in Clockwork. To be fair, I really want to see more of Clockwork, and I want a release date on that.
Sweet. For me, it's easily Gears. I want to see Gears Extraction. We're talking too much about extraction shooters. Gears E-Day. would be easily the one I would love to see. The Big Bridge writes in, hey there, Boxy and Wandering Dutch. I hope you have a super joyous and prosperous week ahead. Thank you. You hope you too. Simple question this time. What's your favorite video game Easter egg? It's a tough one.
I don't have any.
It's difficult, man. It's difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, there was this really cool Easter egg in Doom 2017 where you could just walk through a hidden portal and then you're suddenly in the OG Doom. And you could play that. Yeah. That was a very cool one. There were also a couple of really good ones in Starfield, right? But yeah, it's kind of difficult, man. It's a difficult question, but I'm going with the Doom one. Pyromat writes in an interesting question this time. If you could turn any IP, book, film, series into a video game, what IP and kind of game would you greenlight? Side note to this question, if a formally cancelled game of the IP exists, how disappointing was learning of its cancellation? So, Dutch, which book, movie, film, series would you like to turn into a proper video game, man?
Stranger Things.
Stranger Things. That's a good one. And what kind of video game would it be? Would it be an action adventure?
Yeah, action adventure. Obviously story based. Lots of cinematics and things in it, but of course you play as L or 11 and you follow the timeline of the series of the stories and things like that as things go on. But of course with Elle, you've got her abilities and kind of some form of RPG mechanics, and you level up her abilities as time goes on throughout the game. Or you can even have an alternate timeline story of 11 or another one of the children that were worked on in the lab, in Hawkins' lab, because of course we know there were many kids. Yes, some of them were slaughtered. But there were many kids that were kind of worked on. So it could be something similar to that. But yeah, you could have a kind of a horror, action, adventure, Stranger Things kind of vibe where you can kind of level up your abilities.
Yeah, that's I would play that, man. I would play that in a heartbeat. For me, I always wondered, Dutch, after the massive success of Game of Thrones, we never got a proper Game of Thrones game. There have been the Telltale things, yeah, but those are super niche, kind of like indie games, you know. We had a mobile game, yeah, cool. But we never got a proper like AAA game set in the Game of Thrones universe. And I would love to have an open world action RPG in that universe. Yeah, story based, of course. Tons of stuff to discover. You can go beyond the wall, you know. You can do certain things in the south and travel across the sea, and there would be dragons and, you know, just something cool in the Game of Thrones universe. I would love that. And I wonder why we never got that.
Good shout as well. My other one was going to be Vikings.
And Prince Green in the chat says there is a new Game of Thrones game out now. Yeah, I've seen that. It's only available on PC. However, nobody talks about it. It is really like a super niche AA kind of game. And I wonder why never a big studio picked that up. But Vikings would be cool, Dutch. You're right.
Yeah, it would. Again, you could have it as an action adventure game. You could follow just a singular character,
Yeah.
or you could make it as an RTS game. I'd much prefer a movie-like kind of action adventure game, to be fair,
Yeah.
where you're kind of raiding and something happens and someone blood eagles one of your clan and you have to go and take revenge on something, or obviously try and conquer places. Yeah, there's so much possibility you could have.
I do agree there. All right, Dutch. And that already brings us to an end this week of this week's World of Gaming. I want to say a big thank you to this awesome community that joined us here live today to discuss everything that happened this week in gaming. Again, we will not have a show next week because I'm not in town, but we will be back in 2 weeks, of course. But before we let everyone out, Dutch, let everyone know where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me everywhere at Rungeon Dutch. I am literally just about to start putting together my vlog from the hike at the weekend.
Sweet.
So keep an eye on the channel for the release of that. It goes up as soon as it's done. So as soon as I've managed to render it and put it together, it'll be going up and getting uploaded. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. Aside from that, you can of course see me back here in a couple of weeks when Boxy gets back off holiday.
Yeah.
Depending on how busy I am, I might or might not do streams on the channel, but you can find me everywhere at Wandering Dutch.
Sweet. All right. So I want to say again a big thank you to everyone who listened here on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. Big thank you. The weekend is near. We hope you do enjoy some great games because there are plenty of good games out there to play. And we will be back in 2 weeks. Until then, don't forget to game on.